As you know, there are dozens of options in how to side a home, and that goes no different than a tiny home. From vinyl siding to fiber cement to traditional wood, whether that's a lap siding look or a board and bat or something in between, there's literally dozens of options. In this episode, I'm going to show you how we are taking LP Smart Siding, an engineered product, and making this home look like a traditional board and bat style cabin. So real quick, just going to show you a few of the components that we used on this home. We're using the Smart Side, LP Smart Side product, which is an engineered OSB, pressed. Look it up. This isn't a video to figure out how they do it, but they do it, and they do it really, really well. It's durable. Frankly, it's very nice to look at as it has the raised grain. But also, I think this stuff comes with like a 40 or 50 year warranty as long as you follow their instructions during the installation process. So we're using 4x8 panels, 4 foot by 8 foot, to give us the board and bat look. And then we are coming back and doing the seams every 4 feet as well as every 16 in between with the 2.5 inch batten strip. They have several different options. If you have a bigger home, maybe you want to do a bigger spacing, maybe 19.2 or something like that. Use a bigger batten look. I think all that's just a matter of personal preference. They cover it all, from trim, whether it's trims and band boards, to vented soffits. They also have closed soffits, which we use on the gable ends that just obviously don't have the vents. But they come in nominal lengths. We bought everything 16 foot. That way we just had some room to play. Engineered corners that are already pre-done. So it's just a matter of cutting these to length, popping them on the corners and nailing them. You don't have to do that. You can get trim and rip it down. Not a big deal, but for no more than it costs. Time is money, and frankly, sometimes it's a little better and frankly economical to spend money on the product and a little bit less on the labor. We're doing cedar shakes up in the gable, as you'll see, and these come with a sort of the scallop look on the bottom and then the smooth flush look on one side, so you can orient it either way. You can either have the flat look, or in our case we did it to where it looked like more of a traditional staggered cedar shake. So that's it. That's pretty much all we're using, just a siding nailer to put these in, and again, follow their instructions on the size of nails and the orientation as far as how often we're nailing in the field versus along the edge, the trim, that sort of thing. Let's get after it. Here we are getting started with the vented soffits. We could have waited and done this until after we put on the siding and maybe before the batten strips, but we chose to do it this way and just sort of work from the top down with the exception of the fascia. Worked out good for us, and again, this LP product was good and very rigid, even at the 16 foot full length that we were working with. While we get this last piece of soffit up, if you haven't yet, I'd appreciate you hitting that like and subscribe button. Just so you know, I plan on putting out a new video every weekend, and by subscribing and hitting the alert bell, you should be notified as soon as those come out. Thanks in advance, and let's get back to it. So we're doing a little something different than what we normally do on these birdhouses, as you can see right there on the corner of that gable. Normally those little birdhouses are framed out there to the very end and corner, as you would traditionally see. But I like this sleek look. Sort of allows us to maintain that same roof line, and basically just takes that transition back to the level soffit right there at the wall. So very happy with how this turned out. Took a little bit of ciphering on our end to figure out how we were going to trim that and make that happen. But again, just a great option. Gives a little versatility to something that's maybe a little bit more traditional.
So you'll see here that we put a little nailer or a ledger board there on the bottom just to set these sheets up on. This is definitely the way to go. It takes just a couple of minutes to get that up and level, but you're able to set these sheets on there and allows you to not really have to pay attention to where you're at and where your clearance is above, etc. So again, take the couple of minutes, make this easy. That way you're not killing yourself to get these level and plumb all the way around. Another thing to note when getting started is just remember from what corner or what end of each wall you pulled out starting your framing. That way these sheets are ensured to hit on a stud and just makes it quick, easy, and not a lot of room for error. So as always, things start to slow down when you go to cutting around windows and doors, but taking good measurements, making good notes, and allowing your cut man to basically just be able to hustle through this and not leave them much room for mistakes definitely makes this a lot less of a headache. In addition to the window, we're slowed down a little bit here by the J-block, which is a prefabricated piece of trim that goes over a penetration in the wall that's pre-flashed. In this case, it's going to be an outdoor outlet, exterior electrical outlet. Manufacturer requires, or suggests rather, a 3/16 gap on all sides except the top where the flashing is, and that'll be 3/8 of an inch. So just a little bit of drawing and cutting here, takes a minute, but then we're back on track. Be sure to hang around to the end of the video as I do a walk around to show you exactly how this thing turned out. Very pleased with how this board and bat looks. As you'll recall, we're almost done with the inside, just a little punch list left, and with the exception of this exterior siding and some paint and shingles on the roof, we almost have this cabin wrapped up. So this is just a trim piece. Some would refer to it as a band board, some a transition piece, but basically it's just a piece of 5.5-inch trim that will allow us to have a natural break between the wall and the gable, but also give us a good transition as we go from the board and bat up to the cedar shake look in the gables. Just make sure to Z-flash both below and above. That way any water that hits the wall will continue to get down and get away. So something that I plan on trying here in the near future on these window trims is pre-building these things in one piece before they go up. Seen some folks online utilize the pocket screw concept to basically frame and square these things on a table, and then just hang them up like a picture frame. I like the idea, and we'll see in the future if that works for us. In order to ensure consistent spacing on these batten strips, I just cut a piece of trim, I think 13.5 inches wide, whatever that space would need to be, with 16-inch on centers. And I'm basically just using that little piece of trim there to measure off the previous batten strip to go down the wall. Saves a good bit of time. You're not having to pull a chalk line or get your measuring tape out like that. Love jigs, love templates, that sort of thing. Anything to save time and ensure consistency, and this is just a very small example of that, but definitely a quicker way to get it done. You know, like anything, there's pluses and minuses to building a small cabin or a small house, or even working on just a one room in your house. The good news is, about the time I start getting tired of something like siding or flooring or painting, I'm usually only an hour or two away from being done anyway. On the downside, about the time we start getting in a groove or a pattern, as you can see here, working ahead of one another to lay out batten strips, leaning them against the wall, it's also over. So again, double-edged sword, but I definitely like working on these smaller cabins.
Alright guys, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the details as to what we have going on with this unit here. Again, this is our 14 by 28 tiny home, and we are using the LP Smart Siding to get this thing buttoned up. As you'll notice, one of the first things here is that this corner is actually extended
a little bit below the bottom of what the home will be, and the reason for this is, as you might recall from a previous video, this is a modular home that will be transported out of this factory into its permanent home, and it will be sitting on a more than likely a block foundation with a 1.5 inch mud seal, pressure treated. And so what we've done here is we've actually extended that corner to where when it's all said and done, we will come back and put in right here another LP board, of course flashed above with the Z flashing, to where any rain that hits the wall will actually come over the Z flashing, come down this band, and can extend down the block wall. And this corner here will actually be extending about a 3/4 of an inch over that block wall as well. So again, this is the 4x8 sheets of LP Smart siding with 2.5 inch batten strips. And then in the gables, we did, as you saw earlier, the cedar shake look. And again, the band board here is Z flashed both on top and below. Just walking around here, trimmed out the windows. As you'll see, we've left a 3/16 gap around the windows, and the reason for that is a place for your caulking to go. LP suggests that you have 3/16 on the sides and 3/8 on top, like you can see, like you will see here rather, on this J block that comes pre-finished, pre-flashed, and the sides and the bottom will be caulked. The top will not be. That way water can hit that little piece of flash in there and come on down. We haven't trimmed out this window yet. A little short on trim, got some coming. So we are waiting for that to be delivered here in the next day or so. And the other thing that'll be coming on that truck is the fascia. But we've got the soffits done, got all the trim done, with the exception of that one window, and got the house buttoned up. Little pro tip, I'm gonna walk around here to this side. You know, board and bat's pretty forgiving. These are 16 inches, so what is that? 13.5, I believe, spacing in between. No need really, I'm a little OCD. Ended up notching out that batten strip on the right-hand side there to accommodate that. Knowing what I know now, I would actually come back and just move this batten strip over and not worry about that. So you can actually move this strip here over just a little bit, and I don't think the naked eye would be able to determine that that space is now, you know, another 1/2 inch wider than that one. So there it is. Our tiny home officially is sided, and I can't thank you enough for spending this time with me. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've had some fun. And until we see each other again, have fun, work hard, and get after it.